FTC.com. You'll see I have a studio full today. We're all going to be talking about STEM and robotics, which is one of my favorite things to talk about. We got Steve. He's the Director of STEM Engagement of NGenius Learning, and he's also the coach of 2 teams. And we've got some team members here. We've got Bennett, who's the lead programmer, and we got Jacob, who's a builder. Not Bob the Builder, but Jacob the Builder. I got you a new nickname. Okay, I appreciate you guys coming. Steve, I am, as a mom of 2, my kids have not yet made it through the system far enough to really get into the robotics teams and all, but I'm super excited that that's available. I would have been all over that when I was a student. So when you try to describe STEM in terms of competition or turning it into competition to parents, how do you pitch that? How do you get them to understand what you guys are doing?
So I basically try to let them understand that it's unlike other competitions where it's very competitive. These STEM competitions that we go to, specific for robotics, through the organization called FIRST, is more of a bringing like-minded individuals together to be able to compete. We'll go to competitions where you'll have other teams that are struggling, and you'll have team members from my group will actually go help them, so we can all compete on the same playing level and the same playing field. So it's like camaraderie of just kids coming together, to help each other to learn. So it's not, even though someone may not make it as far as you will still cheer them on and try to help them through, because in the end they're all learning and they're all progressing. You cheer for the coaches, you cheer for the other team members, and then you try to help them. And then we've, just like today, we do outreach. We outreach with other teams too. We've helped other teams through their struggles, through programming problems, through building issues. So there's definitely other things that we do to try to help bring everybody together. And we're just one of about 40 teams within the state.
And that's growing from what I can tell. Every year it feels like that the robotics competitions, or I guess are there other competitions within STEM, Steve, or is it all pretty much right now like robotics led?
So ours specifically is robotics. There's 2 main robotics if you will, umbrellas or organizations out there. One being what we compete under is called FIRST. It's all capital letters. If you Google it, just do FIRST Robotics and you'll see it. And we do FIRST Tech Challenge, which is the tier below it, with still large robots. Then there's another organization called VEX. They're very similar. Some schools can do it. Some schools cannot due to funding. So we're a community team, but I know there's probably other STEM-related competitions out there, but ours is the ones that we compete in is specifically robotics, and those are the 2 largest ones that I know of on a global stage, so to speak. Because when we compete, when they were in the lower level, when we did Lego robotics, which was still under FIRST, we were fortunate to go to what they call Worlds, which is kind of like nationals, but it's for teams throughout the world. And that was in Houston, Texas, and they got to collaborate and work with and compete against teams from all over the country and the world. So it was really neat. So FIRST is a large global organization, and so is VEX. But they both bring similar but different things in how they approach robotics. But in the end, it's still trying to educate our children in a technical arena so they can have good hands-on practice and applications of being able to bring what they're learning to life.
And a little friendly competition never hurts anything.
That's right.
Bennett, you're lead programmer. What team are you lead programmer for?
Oh, well, the team's name is actually Are You Serious? It's a joke. We got it from a Christmas movie, actually. Most of the older generation will know Griswold's Family Christmas Vacation. That's what we got it from, because they're sitting around the dinner table. Clark's talking about seeing Santa Claus overhead. You better get to bed soon so you can get Christmas presents. Cousin Eddie goes, "Are you serious, Clark?" So as a little homage, we said, well, that should be the name. That's a funny joke. The older people will think it's real funny. We also named our bot, when we build it, we always name it Clark after the movie.
Oh, I love that. I love that little added to it. And having the inside jokes helps build the team, too. But as a lead programmer, what's your job? Like, what's your specific duties to the team?
So as the lead programmer, I work obviously with the other programmers on the team. There's 2 more. One of them just transferred over to another section of the team. But we focus on making sure that whatever the technical aspects that the builders, Jacob and Ethan and them, work on, we make sure that it runs properly. So when we get to the competition season, we get to the competition day, the bot is actually running. Because when we compete, there are two separate portions that you compete with. One, the bot has to do whatever you tell it to do based off of programming. Nobody's allowed to touch any controls. The second half is driven by the robot drivers. We program their controllers and make sure that they are actually able to compete properly and do whatever the challenge is this year.
So did you start out as a builder? Is it kind of like a progression as you go through school, or is it just sort of where your skills best fit?
It's a skill best fit thing. When we have people come and try out for the team, we have them try out, make sure they fit with the people on the team, and then we let them come and try out the different sections of the team, builders, programmers, stuff like that. See what they think their interest would be. And we've had people, like I said, transfer over to other departments because they just weren't feeling programming or they weren't feeling building. They would transfer over. I know a couple years ago, a buddy of mine, he was on the team with me, and he started out as a builder, but he was better at technological aspects, so he transferred over to the programming aspects.
So, Jacob, you are a builder, which I think I've given you a new nickname, but you're at least going to have a new soundtrack after this. You probably don't even know who Bob the Builder is. You can go and look it up. Okay, so which team are you a builder for?
I'm a builder for Team 16151, which is the number system that they go through to register teams in first. And so that's always how we introduce ourselves. But yes, are you serious?
So what led you to wanting to do the robotics team? Because I know this is you both go to Brandon, but this isn't a Brandon school. This is a community one. So how did you get involved with robotics in terms of competition?
So growing up at Brandon and the Brandon system, you have a gifted learning program called Venture. It goes from 2nd through 8th grade. Well, if you go through the program, when you get to the 5th grade year, you are actually able to do the Lego robotics competition for a year. So our Venture teacher, Ms. Mavis, she has all these parts, and she gets the board each year, and we make legit teams, and we go and compete in these. And so we did it, and Bennett's a year older than I am. And so him and another guy on our team named Ethan were on there, I guess it would have been 2017, 2016, somewhere around there.
2018, I think, was my first year. Maybe 2017.
Somewhere around there. Anyway, they competed, and they actually, as a school team, ended up going and advancing to Worlds. And they enjoyed it. They loved it. Mr. Steve was the dad on the team, and he loved it, and he wanted to continue it once he found out that the school, it didn't continue after 5th grade. So he created the teams that we have now. And anyway, I went through that same program, and I fell in love with it. And Mr. Steve and a couple of people from his new team came and helped my class. And, I just instantly fell in love with all of the robotics, every single aspect of it. And I was making deals with Mr. Steve, talking about, my dad can do construction stuff. My mom's a planner. I'm just awesome. I was hyping myself up. I was giving myself a lot of I was making myself look good to him, and thankfully, actually, as a birthday present, he invited me on the team.
That's awesome. And I love, too, that, Jacob, I think you play football. Bennett, you do show choir. So both of you are in other curricular activities that require a lot of time, but yet you still can do something like the robotics team. And, Steve, you're shaking your head, because I think a lot of parents feel like once they start getting past, into middle school and on, all these activities take up a lot of time, we lose some of those other micro opportunities, which it feels like robotics fits in. What is the, season? What's the season for robotics?
Sure. So the season starts right about the beginning of September. We typically start right now for the next season. When the season ends, we start trying to do some of our outreach, and we start trying to get some of our skill sets up. He might start working on some more programming and try to fill in gaps where we failed or see some struggles from last year. And he'll start brainstorming of years past now that he's got several years under him and say, all right, we kind of see what we know to have happen. We know we're going to need a lift system or we're going to need certain things. And they'll start looking at that, maybe pre-buying things. But the season itself doesn't start till about September, and it usually runs till about March. That's typically when our state competition is, and out of the 40 teams that we have, usually about 16 to 24 teams will get a bid to state, which is actually held at Ole Miss through the Center of Math and Science Excellence, CMSE. Our affiliate partner for FIRST is Mr. Manny Lowe. Is a wonderful person, and they do an excellent job promoting the FIRST and along with getting everything set up throughout the state. We will actually be hosting an event at Brandon High School,
which we will talk about,
Yep.
and some upcoming summer opportunities coming up next. The radio station. We're continuing our conversation with STEM and robotics and competition and all things fun with that. We've got Steve. He's the director of STEM engagement of NGenius Learning. He's also the coach of several teams here in the central Mississippi area. But Steve, you are a full-time engineer.
I am.
You're a dad, and you're a volunteer coach. What led you to starting something else on the side?
Yes, to kind of piggyback off of what Jacob was saying earlier. So my son also was in Miss Mavis's venture class at Brandon L. And when they started doing first Lego League robotics, I jumped in to help out. And I was like, man, this is awesome. This is awesome. I love it. And I helped them out, got them, was able to bring some engineering concepts to them, engineering design process, things of that nature. And then when they went to sixth grade, they no longer offered that style of competition. They did have Project Lead the Way and other things that the kids can get plugged into, but they didn't offer first and continue those robotics competitions. So what we did is myself with several other parents said, hey, we'll start a team. And I said, I'll coach it. I'll house it at my house. And that's what we did. So we did the Lego robotics for probably 2 more years till my son was in 7th grade. And then Jacob joined, I think, his 6th grade year. And then after that, we were like, okay, we enjoy the Legos, but we're ready to take it to the next level. And we moved up to what they call First Tech Challenge, where the bots are more, they're 18 inches by 18 inches, and they can either be fabricated or built. They're bolted together or welded together. Well, they're more bolted together. You can fabricate your own parts, 3D print. If you have a CNC, you can do a lot of those things yourself. But and then we compete now on a 12-foot by 12-foot playing field, where before it was a 4-foot by 8-foot, basically plywood table, and that you have a mat that you would compete on with the Lego. And now it's a 12-foot by 12-foot foam mat, and you're competing with 3 other robots on the field at the same time. Like Bennett said, the first 30 seconds is completely autonomous, so you have to write a program to achieve certain goals autonomously. And then the last 2 minutes is driver period, where we have Jacob and Ethan, who are our driver and our gunner, that they actually control the robot to score as many points as possible. And it's completely point-based, so when we talk about robots, everybody's always like, oh, like BattleBots, and it's like, it is nothing like BattleBots. It's definitely more engaging for the kids because it gives them a good learning environment. But that's kind of where it all stemmed from, and why we continue to grow. Being an engineer, I saw the need to be able to help bridge the gap between what's within the educational system and real world. And I know it's hard to get engineers to go into the classroom, right? I know for myself it would be hard, but it's hard for teachers, I think, to understand exactly what's actually out in industry. So I was hoping that I could help bridge that gap is what I was looking to try to do. And we've succeeded with definitely the community team and the kids that we have on. A lot of them aspire to be engineers or go into some sort of technical degree.
Steve, if someone's listening to Good Things and thinks, oh my gosh, we need one of these communities teams in our area, maybe they are an engineer or know one or would just like more information, where could they go just to get good information on starting a team?
Sure. The first thing you can do is you can Google search First Robotics, then just literally like that, and it'll pull up their main website. But if you want to talk to someone locally or someone within the state, they can reach out to me at steve@ingeniuslearning.com. That's with an N, right? So and then geniuslearning.com. Or you can even search up CMSE, First Robotics, and then CMSE, Center for Math and Science Excellence, out of Oxford. Manny Lowe is the affiliate partner for First. So he's the one that helps coordinate and organize all the competitions, the meets that we have throughout the fall, along with the state competition. So when we register the teams, he's the one that knows who's paid, who hasn't paid, and who's actually going to be competing for the season. And so either one of those methods, because I'll be glad to be able to help other people start their own teams. Absolutely.
And Bennett, y'all are starting to branch out and do your own events. So tell us about the event you guys are trying to put together.
Yeah. So in First, you want to be able to, the whole point is to obviously introduce STEM to other people. It's not really to win, it's to learn to introduce it to other people, like I said previously. So by hosting our own event, we'll be hosting one at Brandon High School. And what we'll be doing is we will be hosting a competition at Brandon High School. The Are You Serious team will be the volunteers. They're running it. Basically, the people in charge of it will make sure that it runs smoothly so that everybody can compete and learn through STEM and First.
which I think, when's that going to happen?
That'll be in December. So, like I said, our season doesn't start till September, and I think it'll be first or second week in December is when it will be.
This summer, you do have a few camps for at least families that are here centrally. What do those look like?
Sure, yes. We have 2 STEM camps through NGenius Learning, going to be hosted at Brandon High School the week of June 5th through the 9th and the week of the 12th through the 16th. It's for grades going into 1st and into 5th. And we basically, it'll just be a general camp to get kids engaged in STEM. And STEM learning. So there'll be a lot of hands-on activities, things for them to do. That this will be about the 3rd year that we've done it. Because of COVID, we kind of lapsed a year there, but this will be the 3rd year that we've hosted it at the Brandon High School, and it's usually a really good turnout of it. The kids typically usually really enjoy it, and we usually hear nothing but good things from the parents throughout the week as the kids are coming back. That's all they talk about. So, but if there's kids within that age group, it'll run 8 to 12. During those 2 weeks. And the camp is the same both weeks. So if you can't get in the first week, you could actually get in the second week either or. You won't be missing anything if you can't get in one or the other.
Jacob, speak to the parents who may have students or kids who are big into their other sports, right? Like, will you do football or baseball or basketball or for girls softball or whatever it may be, and think, oh, this is going to take away from that or this is going to impede on that. But you're able to juggle both. How are you doing that, or is it possible?
Yes, it's actually very possible. So with, like Bennett was saying, we have our different parts of the teams. And now overall we all meet as the whole team on Sundays during the season. But throughout the week and closer to competitions, we'll start individually, like by our groups, meeting a couple times during the week. So maybe builders and drivers will come in on like a Tuesday, programmers on a Thursday, outreach teams will come in, Wednesdays or something. But like I know that a lot of travel teams, baseball, soccer, and a lot of just sports that take up a lot of time, they're very time consuming. I'm fully aware football practices are very constant and year round. So
But
a lot
they
of
love
that,
it. You can make it work.
Yes, it's very possible with that.
So what do you guys sit back and talk about? Do y'all just try to figure out what you want Clark to do, which is your robot? Do y'all just send messages like we want him to be able to do X, Y, and Z? How do we figure it out? Or do you look at the other teams and go, oh, they did that, so we've got to one-up it?
Okay, so as Dad had said earlier, when the season starts in September, they send out this mass session that's like a Zoom, or they'll send out a bunch of videos. Usually they got in-person meetings as well, and it's the kickoff ceremony. So they kick off the start of the season. They tell you what you need to achieve at these competitions with your bot. As soon as that day's over, we go to the drawing board. We have whiteboards at the house where we meet up to write down what we want our bot to achieve. We look at previous seasons, what people have achieved with previous builds, with previous coding concepts, as well as our previous mistakes that we've learned from. We create and build based off of those, and also what we're told we need to achieve in the season this year.
What are y'all hoping to achieve next year, Jacob, or this coming up year?
Well, I'd say that we're shooting for about as high as you can shoot. We're wanting to go to World this year. We've been mighty close past couple years. Including last year, we got second overall in the state, which we were very, very happy with ourselves for getting as far as we did and getting that award, and we were very proud of ourselves. But this year we're going to come into it, and we know we were right there on the cusp last year. This year we're just going to go, and we have a confident mindset. We know what we have to do to get there, and that's what we're going for.
That's really cool. I think that's so neat. So where is Clark?
Not here.
You shut up, Clark. I thought that that could have been really cool.
Clark probably would not have fit on the table. Clark is an 18 by 18 by 18 squared robot. He's metal fabricated with a little bit of plastic on there. He sits like that big for people seeing in person. And it is heavy. He's about 45, 50 pounds of pure metal. But he is a lot of fun to build, a lot of fun to control, a lot of fun to actually see it run, and the stickers that we put on there from time to time.
It has to be cool to create the code and then build it and then push the button and then see it work.
Oh, there's no greater feeling than actually seeing all the countless hours. Because I know between Jacob and I, we probably put 200 hours into our bot. And doing that, it's just, there's no greater feeling than seeing something that you've worked on for so long finally do what you want it to do and come to life.
So I wish you the best. We will be following you on the next year, obviously, especially if you guys make it to World. We appreciate your time here on Good Things. Steve, real quick, how do we find NGenius Learning?
So you just find us on Facebook at NGenius. Just search up NGenius Learning on Facebook, or you can go to our website, ingeniuslearning.com. And again, that's N for NGenius Learning, not IN. So
this won't be the last time we talk about you guys. I am sure. Are you serious? Yes. No, I'm not. This is not going to be the last time that we talk to you guys. But all right, stick with